Hello my YouTube friends, this is Brian with BG Model Workshop. Happy Friday. I'm coming to you today to let you know about the finish, the final for my BG Bodyworks shop truck. Here he is, 1965 Chevy Step side. This was done by Revell. Would I do another one of these kits again? Yes, I would. As a matter of fact, I have another one in the stash waiting to go. I showed this off to my wife last night when I was getting it buttoned up, and she said, "Oh, that looks nice. Can you do a shiny one?" So I'm like, okay, I'll do a shiny one now. And of course, she's going to have the input on the coloring for that other one. So that could be interesting. She's got a quite interesting color palette. So again, the patina on the truck was very straightforward. A couple coats of the rust brown, a couple coats of the gray primer, a couple coats of Testors French blue. Came out real nice looking. The top of the cab was actually to me a racing white, so it's got a little bit of an ivory coloring to it. And then all the chrome was stripped. We just went back and did that with the Testors, the Model Master non-buffing aluminum, to give it more of like an iron look. My dad had a 65 pickup also, and the rear bumper on that would get scratched and everything. He'd just go out with a can of aluminum spray paint and just respray that once in a while. So I wanted that kind of a look for the chrome that's on this guy. And the bed here is actually just a piece of 16th inch I can never think of the word, gosh, balsa wood that I scored and then stained to make it look like a sheet of paneling that got thrown in the back there. And then we got some dents up in the front of the bed up in here, you know, like somebody's been chucking stuff in there and denting that all up. And then we got a few scratches and such down through here on both of the inner fenders. And of course, you know, chips and scratches and dents and dings all around the top of the bed here. So I added in some brand decals to show off some of the parts that this truck would be collecting while it's out doing its parts runs. And I thought ULUs would be a good little touch there. We'll see if we can get a close-up of that a little bit later. But I had said in a previous video that the front suspension was it was a 2-in-1 kit, so the kit had an optional front cross member that I actually there was a lowered one and a stock height one. I thought I had used the optional lowered one, but turns out through my notes and the instructions, because it's been such a long time since I actually started building this, as it turns out that's actually the stock suspension, so it gives it a nice level look. And I was a little worried about the tires being too large, looking a little too large. But once I got them on the truck and the body on the chassis, I think it really evened out nicely. They fill the wheel wells really well. And I just love the black and white with the red and a little bit in a small baby moon cap. I think that's one of the most striking wheel and tire combinations you can have. It's not for every car, but it looks good on this truck here. So under the hood is the 283 V8 that it comes with. Everything's stock except for the solder headers. And then I added some wires. I always like the Excel wires, the yellow wires, so I emulated that. And then if you can see the little black zip ties on there are actually just pieces of sewing thread that have been super glued in place. And then I just used the stock hoses that came with the kit. It does not have a lower radiator hose. That is nearly impossible to actually install. I didn't want the aggravation of that, so I didn't do that. But what's really awesome about this kit is the door handles are actually separate as well. So I got to strip those, add those in, and the windshield wipers are separate too. So that's I think they look a little out of scale. I don't know what you guys think. They look like they might be a little large, but again, it's a small piece of plastic and it's kind of hard to mold. I understand there's photo etch kits out there for that. Maybe I'll explore that option in the future. I don't know. But as for the bottom, let's see if we can rotate them a little bit without busting off a mirror. So the bottom, I did solder headers, and then the collectors are actually just shrink tubing, and then the mufflers are parts box mufflers, and then the exhaust tubing is just straight aluminum tubing that I cut to fit. I like the look of it. I think I'm going to go back where the straight tubing meets up with the parts box muffler tubing and go over that seam a little bit so it doesn't look so obvious. But I'm really digging how that exhaust system looks. That's pretty sweet. And yeah, it's I'm actually in love with this truck. So I figured since it was a parts hauler truck, we needed to go out and get a little toolbox. So here we go. I don't know, can you focus on that camera? There we go. Added some decals left over from the decal bin, and I put some photos up on Facebook of this. And one of my good friends says, "Man, that needs to be dirty. Anybody with automotive experience knows that that's going to be a dirty toolbox." And I was like, "Man, my toolbox is clean. I don't know about you, but I take care of my stuff." So I like displaying that in the back there. And then to see just how cool this truck really is, here's his report. I handmade this one. If you guys want to know how I made these, I'd be happy to show you. Just let me know in the comments. If I get enough comments about it, I'll go ahead and do a tutorial. But yeah, I think that looks all right, you know. If you're not getting parts, you're out at the beach. So maybe we should toss a couple of blankets in the back there too, or maybe a cooler. Inside the truck, we did the Mexican blanket interior that was purchased through Extreme Scale Detail. I think it's a chap named Frank that does those, or Freddie, excuse me, I think it's Freddie, yeah. But it really looks the part. I totally dig it. I'm doing more of those types of interiors. So yeah, it's looking pretty sweet. So there we go. Shop truck's done. Next up on the bench is going to be Joe Thompson's monster truck build. I'm doing a Thunderbolt 1. Still having trouble with the body on that. We'll get that figured out. But there we go. Thanks for tuning in. I see I picked up a couple of new subscribers this week, so thank you very much for joining in. I appreciate that. And we'll see you again. Bye.